When Liverpool paid 150 million for Alexander Isak this summer, it wasn't just a transfer, it was a statement. But what most fans don't know is that this decision wasn't made in a boardroom by scouts watching clips. It was made in part by an algorithm, a model trained on millions of passes, sprints, and body movements. It didn't just see Isak's goals, it saw his trajectory, his expected development curve, his resale potential, and even though his running style fits Liverpool's pressing system. Football used to be about instinct, the scout's feeling, the manager's gut call. But in 2025, data, not emotion, is buying the players. For most of football's history, the transfer market was driven by stories, not spreadsheets. A scout would sit in a freezing stand somewhere in Norway or Brazil, jotting notes in pencil. He'd write things like strong first touch, looks confident, or could become something. There was no algorithms, just instincts, connections, and a bit of luck. Then, in 2011, one word became quietly slipped in football's vocabulary: Moneyball. It meant using data to find value, spotting what others missed. Clubs like Brentford and Brighton became obsessed with applying it to football. They didn't have billionaire owners or massive academies. What they had was data, and it worked. They discovered players that richer clubs overlooked, and they sold them later for millions. Even Arsenal took a notice. They bought a data company, StatDNA, in 2012. That was the moment football's gut feeling met its first algorithm. Fast forward to 2025, and football looks more like Silicon Valley than the 90s Premier League. Every single match now generates millions of data points, from players' positioning to heart rate, acceleration, and even angle of ankle when striking the ball. Companies like Opta, StatBomb, and SciSports have built entire universes of data. They don't just count passes anymore. They understand why a pass was made and how it changes the team probability of scoring. At Liverpool, a system like this helped identify not only how a player performs, but how he will perform in a club system. At Man City, a similar model predicts which youth players actually go on loan and to which country to develop the fastest. Meanwhile, AI platforms like Zone 7 monitor injury risks by reading the biometric patterns. If a sprint mechanics looks risky, it tells the coaching staff before your hamstring goes. We've reached a point where football isn't just measured, it's modeled. Every player, every pass, every moment is now data pointed, feeding an algorithm that can forecast your career. Take Alexander Isak. His 150 million move wasn't just about goals, it was about data efficiency. He scores consistently above his expected goals curve and fits perfectly in a system that values high-intensity pressing and moving behind the line. Then there's Florian Wirtz. Only 22, already in double digits for both goals and assists. But what makes him elite isn't just output, it's decision-making speed. AI model rate how quickly he makes the right pass under pressure, and Wirtz is among Europe's top 5%. And then we have Nick Woltemade, a quiet signing by Newcastle, undervalued by traditional scouts, but flagged by the models for his pressing success rate and ball retention. To the algorithm, he's low-cost, high-upside player, exactly the kind of smart money move data predicts. Clubs like Brentford and Brighton have made this strategy an identity, finding undervalued players before anyone else does. While other clubs like Chelsea prove that having data doesn't mean you have a direction. And at the top, City Football Club runs a global empire of clubs feeding into a shared model, developing talent like it's a multinational business. Same data, different strategies, completely different results. Beyond every data model, there is money, a lot of it. The global football transfer market is worth over 8 billion annually, and mistakes are expensive. A wrong 50 million signing can derail a season. So clubs have started treating players not just as athletes, but as financial assets. They now talk about return on investment, depreciation, and portfolio balance just like venture capitalists. Algorithms help minimize risk. Buying young, selling high, forecasting form dips before they happen. It's football version of Wall Street, and the smartest clubs are playing it like a market. data-driven, diversified, and ahead of the curve. But if the algorithm keeps getting smarter, what happens to the human side of football? Can you quantify passion? Can you code leadership? Can an AI ever spot the kid who plays with chaos? The kind of player who breaks systems instead of fitting them? The truth is, football still needs people, scouts, coaches, fans. Because data can tell you what's likely to happen, but not why it matters. It can predict performances, but not joy. And even if an algorithm chooses your next signing, it can't replicate the moment when 60,000 people lose their mind over something no machine saw coming. So maybe the future of football isn't just data versus emotion. Maybe it's both, working together to make the game smarter, fairer, and still completely unpredictable. Thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into football's data revolution, subscribe. Because behind every transfer, every goal, and every number, there is always a story worth telling.